imagine that a horror movie for me would be like being stuck in the body of a baseball player or something like that during a game, like where the skills would still transfer and everything, but I'd just be me inside the baseball player's head, and it's like, you gotta go, and I'm like, I don't want to play this anymore. Get me out of here. Hi, I'm Danielle.
And I'm Dell.
And this is the Black Catch-Up, where we're catching up on iconic black movies we missed out on in our more conservative religious childhood.
Alright, so this week we watched 42.
Yes, we're continuing our Chadwick Boseman tribute.
Yep.
So let's do the IMDb.
What?
In 1947, Jackie Robinson becomes the first African American to play in Major League Baseball in the modern era when he was signed by the Brooklyn Dodgers and faces considerable racism in the process. There were no commas in that, so if I sounded weird,
Oh, this was a long sentence for IMDb.
Yeah, long sentence.
Like 5-6 words. Like, I was like, what?
I thought they were going to be like Jackie Robinson played baseball.
Yeah, that's what I was like, Jackie Robinson was a baseball player. Like, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, they shouldn't do long sentences because they didn't put any commas, so I'm like, I don't know where the rest of the sentence is going.
Somebody needs to get fired.
Okay. Let's start off with things we liked, as per usual. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. My notebook here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the first thing, starting off with the easy ones, I thought Chadwick did pretty well in this one. I don't think he was as good as some of his other films I've seen, but I thought he did very well. He had some very good scenes where you really saw the emotion.
Yeah.
You know, I think he kind of brought his own charisma to the role as well. That you I just really love to see.
Yeah.
I guess I had two specific Chadwick scenes I really liked.
Okay.
One of them was the bat-breaking scene.
Oh, I have that written down. That was
I think that was just one of the best scenes in the movie.
It was heartbreaking, and it was so good because you get all that build up, and you're angry with him too.
Exactly.
You're like, oh my gosh, I just want someone to punch this guy.
Yeah, and then there's that tension, he really couldn't do anything, so he's just breaking this bat in the wall, after staring this guy down, and just been berating him for however long.
The entire game.
Yeah, I was watching him get berated for minutes on end, but in movie time that's the whole game.
Forever.
That's the whole game. This is a baseball game, which is hours.
So it was oh my gosh.
That was the scene. And then the other scene I really liked with Chadwick was it was towards the beginning when he first gets the threats at his house.
Oh, I put that down too.
Yeah, they move him out, and he's like, I thought I was gonna get fired. I thought I was losing my job. You know?
I love that too.
So I thought again that was just that Chadwick Boseman charisma kind of coming through, and just his laugh. That's the laugh I want to hear. You know.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, Chadwick, I thought he did pretty good in this one. Pretty excellent.
I've had those exact scenes right now. I also, the scene that I kind of liked was the scene where he has to take a picture with the guy who was yelling at him. And he kind of, and I liked that they went to him and were like, he wants to take a picture with you to show me his change. And he's like, he didn't.
He did, yeah.
I don't know who you are trying to pull. I was born yesterday.
Yeah.
But he does that. And then he kind of does it with such the grace of a black person who's been, had racial epithets thrown at them.
I guess being the bigger man.
Yeah,
thing,
as they're always supposed to be.
Yeah.
And he's like, we'll just hold a bat so you don't even have to touch skin. And it's that kind of thing. I was like, that charisma kind of peeped through again too. I was like, that's how you get one over on them.
Okay. I guess, kind of similar to that, similar to the picture scene.
Mm-hmm.
I liked how this movie, put his significance into, historical context. I think, showing things like the pictures being taken, those things. And I really liked how they showed, kids growing up and, watching him. They mentioned they had the one, little black kid, chases him down the train.
Yeah.
Ends up being, a famous baseball player. I didn't know who he was. I don't know.
We're not baseball people.
But, they had that. And then they also had, the little white kid who was, with his father, screaming curse words just because he kind of hurt his father. You could tell he was, really conflicted. And then later on, they mentioned, some white kid was, pretending to be Jackie Robinson.
Yeah.
And, that was a huge moment. So I kind of liked how they, just, kind of sprinkled those things in there to kind of let you know, hey, yes, he's kind of getting a lot of shit in this movie, a lot. But, you kind of see that bigger picture. And even in that comment he made, oh, he didn't actually change. And he's like, yeah, but it just has to look like he did. You know, even that, you kind of get it. Because it's this was a huge thing, you know? And, even if he doesn't actually believe it, when people see that picture, they're going to be like, oh, okay, if he can accept it after, seeing him do this, or, if this person can do it, like, I'm a Phillies fan, like, oh, maybe if he can accept them as a great player, like, I can too. So, like, I did like how they kind of, like, kept kind of sprinkling in that historical context in the film.
I also like the take a shower together scene. That was just a very funny scene to me. Where one of his teammates was like, "Why don't you ever like shower with us at the end?" And Jackie Robinson is like, "Oh, I don't want to make you guys feel uncomfortable." And then his teammate is like, "No, take a shower with me. I mean, shower with us. We should all shower together. I mean, we showers. I'm not gay." He doesn't say that, but that's very much the tone.
That's very much the scene.
But it amused me enough.
Okay. Yeah, the next one I really liked the owner, Branch Rickey. I actually really liked him. I thought his character was played like very well, and I also liked like the role he played in the movie. Like it gave like slight white savior vibes.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, I thought it was weird that like he just wanted a black person. I thought he had already scouted Jackie Robinson and wanted Jackie Robinson, but he was like, let's just bring a black person in.
Any black person.
And I was like,
whatever.
That's one of those things, like, it's not really racist, but it almost, like, gives us, like, you're, like, thinking a little too much about, like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's, like, it just makes you a little uncomfortable when, like, a white person kind of goes out their way to just, like, non-specifically pick a black person, you know?
Yeah,
like, if he had seen Jackie and was like, this is the black, I want Jackie because he's Jackie and he's good, he just happens to be black, and I'll push for that, that makes sense to me. But the whole, like, I just want a black person because I want a black person on my team, and then you happen to find Jackie, like, I don't know what the historical accuracy of that is, but that part I felt weird. But other than that, I thought he was good. I thought he had some good, like, quotes where he, like, talked to his team and, like, some good one-liners, things like that.
Yeah. I feel so that couldn't be true because that's not how black people get anywhere.
Yeah,
you can't just be a random black person there. You have to be, like, there and very good. You can't
like Jackie Robinson.
He was very good, but that's just why I think it was probably more like I want him.
Yeah, it felt weird. That part felt
black. That didn't make sense.
You know, I guess one last point about him. I thought it was like really interesting how he like used God and Christianity to support bringing Jackie Robinson on.
Yeah.
And I feel like in a lot of these type of movies, you usually see the flip side. Like, it's that person with like the very traditional Christian beliefs, like. That don't want black people around, I guess. So, like, I don't know. So I thought that was kind of, like, interesting to see him kind of flip that and kind of use scripture to be like, yeah, all people should be treated equal.
Yes.
You know, I think that was, like, a good shake of breath, I guess.
I do also think, sort of along the lines of the not quite white savior thing that you were talking about, I think he had some good things where when the white players came to him with a problem, he was like, you think I have time for your shit?
Yeah,
and he, like, especially the scene where, I don't even know which player this was, but he was like, Pee-wee. It was Pee-wee. He was like, I got this letter that called me someone who likes black people or whatever. Yeah. And then he just, like, goes to a drawer and pulls out, like, 3 massive folders and was like, you think I have time for your shit? Like, Jackie's over here getting death threats to, like, him, his family, the corner guy at the store who smiled at him once, like, come on.
You're new to this, but, like, we've been getting these letters all season. Like,
does Jackie know about this?
I assume he knows. He's gotten hundreds and thousands of letters, you know?
I did, like, it's like one of those things where it's, like, not quite white saviory, but it's like, I do like that you're saying your problems mean nothing.
Yeah.
I just love that just energy of your problems mean nothing because we have someone getting literal death threats because of the color of their skin, and you're just, like, got one note.
Yeah,
come on.
You're freaking out, you know? All right, anything else?
No, I did.
I did have... Oh, no, actually, no, I already said that, yeah, so that's it.
Okay.
So, least favorite, problematic, things of that nature. You want to start this one off?
Yeah, I'll start this one off. I think my main gripe with this movie was, well, I'll say this comment first, actually. This movie was a lot like watching baseball to me, where it was long and not a lot happened, except for, like, a few bursts of, like, exciting moments. It was like baseball, and I don't like watching baseball, so take with that what you will, but it just felt very baseball. If baseball were a movie, it was 42.
Okay. Yeah, that was actually one of my least favorite parts. I just wrote down baseball. Like, I don't like baseball really. Like, it's not that exciting to write, and like
they tried their hardest to make it exciting. Like some of the good saves and everything, and it's like,
but like
as someone who's seen full baseball games, you know that is like
Yeah, you can only get so high. Like, you can only get so exciting in a baseball game, you know? Like, and, I had that, and then, yeah, like, the other thing I had was, like, this movie was, like, just very much just, like, seeing Jackie Robinson, like, deal with racism. Like, that was a lot of this movie, and so the thing I didn't like, or, like, it gave that, like, very uncomfortable racism, like, where, like, you just get that feeling, like, oh my gosh, he can't do anything, we can't do anything. It was, like, that very, like, helpless sense of, like, racism, and that went through the whole film, but, like, again, it was a baseball film, so it was, like, moments of triumph were just, like, you know,
it just happened in baseball.
Yeah, like, watching Jackie Robinson steal a base is cool and all, but, like, it doesn't hit the same as something else. You know, like, as literally any other sport.
It doesn't hit the same as, like, when Thurgood Marshall won the case.
Yeah, like, you know, like...
They're not the same.
It's like I'm taking this racism, like, I see it, I'm, like, getting frustrated watching the film.
I know.
And I get that one scene of him swinging the bat in the tunnel, and I'm like, okay, like, I've released a little emotion, like, I feel a little bit, but, like...
You needed more of that.
Yeah, watching him, like, hit a home run, I was like...
I mean, I guess, but they're still, like, yelling... the N-word at you right now.
Yeah, and then it's the camera angle, like, you can't see the ball, so, like, you hear him hit it, and then you just see him look at it, and it's like, alright, like, I assume it's a home run.
Because that's baseball, you just see people hit balls and look at it!
Yeah, the baseball was on my list, as well as, like, the just constant, like, racism. You know, like, I understand, like, that was the time period, but, like, I didn't get those moments of, like, relief or where I felt like,
it wasn't
okay, he finally, like, is getting his, you know, his flowers almost,
This makes no sense to some people, but this wasn't, like, the fun racism movies where, like, at the end of, like, a Rosa Parks movie, it'd be, like, struggle, 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 sitting in the front of the bus. Or, like, at the end of a Harriet Tubman movie, like, slavery, 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 and we're free. But, like,
this one's like racism, home run.
And it's like, that's not the same as ending slavery or stopping slavery. It's not the same. We are not the same.
Yeah.
I will say, my main gripe with this movie was, maybe you didn't feel this, but it almost felt as though Jackie Robinson took a backseat in his own movie. Like,
to the manager?
Just, like, to me, it almost felt as though we were watching a lot of white people talk about Jackie, more so than we were actually seeing him. It was like, we learned how this player felt about him and how this player felt about him.
Yeah.
And sure, racism's rampant, but he was one of the good ones and, like, put his arm around him. And it was just like, I kind of understand why they did it, because, like you said, baseball victories are very shallow victories in terms of, like, feeling better about racism. They're very shallow victories. And if you focus more on Jackie, you would probably just see the letters arrive at his house, or, like, someone throw a brick at his window or something like that. Like, I don't know exactly what happened, but that doesn't sound outside the realm of possibility. But I understand why they didn't do, like, just, because if they focused on him, we would have just been like, kill me now. It's so awful. But I also wish they could have, like, pushed him a bit more, even if that meant more baseball scenes. But, like, it felt like he took a bit of a back.
I actually had a similar point written down, and I didn't write it down. I was thinking a similar point, and I ended up writing part of it in the positive column.
Okay.
And I actually spoke about it, but I like, or maybe I didn't, I don't know. I don't know if I directly spoke about it, but I kind of did like how it showed, like, white players transition from, like, hating to liking, and, like, again, like, the manager or the owner had that sympathy quote I really liked. I don't know if it was a quote, but I like sympathy
where you learn what empathy is.
Yeah, that, like, empathy underlying thing he, like, was kind of teaching to his players. So I liked that a lot. But the downside was, like, he had a lot of characters in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, there were a lot of characters. Like, a lot of just white teammates, white people on the other team, like, that just, like, had to go through some transformation.
Yeah.
And so, like, yes, I appreciated that they had those in there, and, like, I understood why, of course, you know, because, like, again, if you have it just focusing on Jackie, like, it could get very dark, you know, and, like, it could just be very, like, downing. So I like how they had that in there. But they had so many characters. Like, characters were coming on screen. I'm like, am I supposed to remember this guy? Yes or no? Like, I didn't know. So I thought there was too many.
There were multiple times we were like, is this racist person one?
Yeah, is this, like, racist person from this racist?
Racist is... Wait, we were like that guy with the strings. Like, which racist incident is he from? Like, is he good now? Like, what?
Yeah, so I just thought there were, like, way too many characters. Like, that I had to follow, you know. It seemed like every one of his teammates got a story.
It felt like it too. And the problem was they didn't all get on the bandwagon at the same time. Yeah. So when we watch each person come around, we're watching, like, it felt like 50 people coming around individually. Yeah.
And it kind of felt like the same thing was happening every, like, because, like, there was, like, I don't know how many games you ended up watching, but, like, every game there was a racist, and they'd have like some epiphany. It was like one at a time. So like the movie kind of felt like it was a little long in that sense, you know?
Like baseball.
Yeah.
The last other thing I had that was like problematic or weird was when I don't even know if he was the coach, but just one of the big head honchos, when he calls all the players in the middle of the night after that petition goes around, and he's like, there are going to be more of them coming in, and they're like just chomping at the bit. It just felt very like immigrants are taking your jobs to me. Yeah. I was like, this sounds like 2020 speech.
There's another brief point, like, why were all the calls while people were sleeping? Like, y'all are a team. Y'all don't like practice every day, have games. Like, why are all these calls happening while people are sleeping in the middle of the night? Like, the amount of times people got woken up by a call from
it was like 25% of the movie. People in bed taking calls after being in a deep sleep.
I'm like, I'm sleeping. I'm not answering my phone. But like, don't call me either. You know, like, please do not call me in my sleep time. Like, I see you every day at practice, every day in the locker room, every day at games. Like, we travel together. Like, there's so much opportunity to talk to me that isn't my sleep time. Don't call me while I'm sleeping. So, I guess I had one last thing that really bothered me, and it bothered me more than it probably should have, but I mentioned this during it, but I hated how they showed picture moments, but didn't show the, like, origin source. Like, in these, like, biopic movies, you kind of, like, have to do that, because otherwise you're just taking a picture, and, like, showing me a picture of, like, Chadwick Boseman standing next to the other actor, like, I don't really care to see that. You know, like, I see you took the picture in the movie, but, like, I want to know why you show us you taking that picture. Like, if that bat scene is something huge, and we're like, Jackie Robinson did this, like, show me that original picture. I want to see that. And they didn't even show it at the end, you know?
Yeah.
And that, like, actually really bothered me, because, like, now I'm like, okay, now I want to look up, like, did this actually happen, you know? Because, like, a lot of times it's hard to tell, like, what stuff is Hollywood and what stuff is real. So, like, was this bat thing real? Like, were some of these other pictures real? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, so, like, that actually bothered me.
Because there was the signing scene, and then the bat scene, and then there was one other random picture moment. I can't remember the last one.
I think the last one was, like, it was like some team photo or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
They were like, maybe someone was like shaking hands, or like were in the background. But like, they didn't show any of the original photos.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I thought they would do, because after you pointed out, I was like, this is normally in a movie where they would like kind of have it like fade or like morph into the actual
and they did
picture.
it like they normally in movies. I guess not. I don't know normally, but like I've seen it a lot where like they take the picture like in the movie, and then they show like the overlay of like the original photo instead of like showing the overlay of the photo they just took of the movie.
Yeah, but
like
they just showed
like more photos from the movie. Like, I don't want to see that. I want to see the original photos that inspired you. That shows.
That makes sense.
You know. But, I guess ratings now.
Yes, ratings.
You want to start it off?
Sure. I gave this movie a 3 out of 5. It wasn't bad. But like I said, my main gripe is that it was like baseball, and I don't like baseball. Not even just that it was about baseball. It just had the pace of actual baseball. And as I also said before, not enough actual Jackie Robinson. I just felt more about like we were talking about people who knew him. And it was like, where were you when Jackie... It was almost like it was an interview with people like, where were you when Jackie Robinson played his rookie year? And then we got to hear all of their stories. Meanwhile, we just see Jackie every once in a while, like, steal a base or something like that. It just wasn't my cup of tea. I just felt like they could have done more with him specifically.
Okay, I actually gave it a 3 as well. Like, I thought it was, like, a really good movie. Like, it was, like, a well-made movie, but, like, again, kind of for similar reasons, like, I don't like watching baseball movies. Like, I just don't, you know? And, like, I love the story of Jackie Robinson. Like, I love the historical significance. I like how they portrayed it on screen. Again, like, I kind of like seeing all his teammates kind of go through, like, their struggles alongside him kind of thing. Like, again, like, it was baseball. And it had like you said, it literally had the pace of baseball. Like, a lot of slow moments, you know, and the victories were very subtle. You know, like, someone stealing a base. Like, you know, him getting a small victory and, like, using the whites-only restroom. Like, all the victories were just so small that, like, I never really got that, like, yes, you know, like, that, like, real excitement watching this film, you know? I was kind of just watching it like, okay, like, Jackie Robinson, you know, he went through all this, like, maltreatment and things like that, like, it's like, you know, of course, like, I know these things. Like, I've learned about Jackie Robinson before. Like, I know how the integration of baseball kind of went down. So, like, I know the story more or less, or, like, the concept. But, like, seeing it on screen just didn't do a lot more for me, you know? Like, again, you get, like, a few more specific stories, but the pace of baseball. Like that's the best way to describe it. Like literally the pace of baseball.
If you like baseball, maybe you'll like this more.
Yeah, a lot of people standing around, like every once in a while they'll like throw something, but like, very, very, very slow paced.
All right. Do you wish you saw this earlier?
Yeah, this one's like a no for me. Yeah, just like I don't know, like it's not that old, so like I don't feel like I've been like missing out for a long time.
These Chadwick ones are very hard.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of think about it, but yeah, I'm like pretty comfortable with when I saw this now, I guess. Like I don't know, like this wasn't really a movie I needed to see in a certain sense, like. So in that sense, like I don't know. Yeah, it's just a no.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
You know?
I'm also a no, because this is, again, baseball's not my sport.
Yeah.
It's just...
This isn't a movie I would watch.
Yeah. I honestly wouldn't go out of my way to watch this either. Again, it's just because it's baseball.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because I don't like most sports. Like, I don't like football or basketball, but I would see one of those movies.
Yeah.
Because more happens in that.
I was like, maybe I'd change my answer, because, like, I'm pretty sure this movie was, like, kind of popular when it came out.
It was.
One of those movies, like, maybe you want to see with, like, a bunch of black people in a theater. But again, I don't even think you get those, like, really exciting moments where people are cheering.
Yeah,
because, again, it's slow movie.
Because, like I said for Marshall, I was like, I would wanted to have seen that in theater, because I feel as though the victories in there were very big and very, like...
That and, like, the suspense was just so great.
And the suspense was better.
Like, you were on the edge of your seat the whole movie for Marshall. This one, like, you kind of on your suspense for a game, then, like, something happens. Then
because it wasn't one game, I think. You kind of just get like, is he going to steal the base? Or like, or the other suspense, is he going to hit that guy?
And again, there were so many characters that we're talking about too that like you can't really get that one kind of stress feeling throughout the whole movie. Yeah, like so you just didn't have that.
Before we end this, I feel as though they also could have gotten more into the black reporter, because he was one of the first black sports newscasters or reporters and stuff like that. He had an interesting story.
It kind of seemed like they would have in the beginning. It seemed like they had a lot more lines in the first half of the movie than the second half.
In the first bit, but then they kind of just like relegated him to like sitting behind third base instead of the press box.
And once they made that comment, they kind of just let him go. Like, I don't think he had any lines.
I almost feel as though, remember how I said I don't know how they could have fixed it? They could have fixed it by sort of showing it through his eyes. The eyes of the first like black sportscast reporter, because then you'll get his like struggle of racism. And that could be like the good through line. And then when we're not focusing on baseball, we're not focusing on other white people and how they feel about each other. We're focusing on a black person who's like trying to advance their career and like breaking barriers in that way. I think that would have been better for me.
I thought they should have been better friends too. Like I don't know what the historical like accuracy is, but it seemed odd that they weren't like they didn't hit it off together. I don't know. Like because in the movie there was kind of that tension where like he wanted to like do things on his own, and I was like, yeah, but like. You're out here in this new city, like, getting constantly harassed by white people. Like, this is the one black person you see who's trying to help you and, like, essentially be your companion and, like, the person who, like, gets you places. You know what I mean? Like, the person who, like, makes it so you can actually do your job. Like, I don't know. I just thought they should have been, like, nicer to each other, like, more friendly,
Yeah.
Like, they were, like, staying together. Like, I thought they should have been buddy-buddy in this movie, but they really just weren't.
And that's why if they did it through his eyes, even if they weren't buddy-buddy, it still would have been cool.
And it would have, and, like, I would have seen why they weren't buddy-buddy. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. But that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Video's getting kind of late.
Yes.
So, YouTube housekeeping. Like, comment, subscribe.
Ring the bell for notifications. If you have any movie suggestions, you can leave them in the comments below. We do movie reviews on Tuesdays and Fridays, and on Saturdays we do music and TV shows. All of our social medias will be in the description down below, and we'll see you next time to catch up. Bye. I think what you guys should take from this is we should be in charge of all 5